This video is the first metal album review from Brothers of Metal, and it also qualifies as a segment we like to call Make a Fan Out of You. Somehow I'll make a fan out of you. Alright, welcome to another episode of Brothers of Metal. I'm Michael.
And I'm John.
Alright, today is for our first review. We're going to review a new album by a band I've liked for a long time called Borealis from Canada. And they're hard to classify, so I heard someone describe them as progressive power metal. I thought, that's close enough to what they are. If you're a fan of a band like Evergrey, or Symphony X, or someone like that, I think it'll be your thing. Yeah, so I've been a fan since their Purgatory album. I learned about them through a band called Pagan's Mind, who, I don't know what happened to them. They haven't made an album in about 12 years, so they may be done for. But they posted something because they were on the same label. I checked one song out and I was hooked. That rarely happens. And since then, I've been a big fan. Their last album, The Offering, I think it came out in 2018. John, you might be able to confirm that for me. But that was probably either my favorite record or at least top 3 of that year. And I've been really looking forward to their new album. It's called Illusions. And I know it's been in the works for quite a while. They posted something about with their new keyboardist, Vikram Shankar, who you probably know from Silent Skies, a project he did with Tom England. He posted something that he was working on songs, like it must have been a year and a half ago. So this album's been a long time coming. They said they had the songs done quite a while ago, and it's finally out, and it did not disappoint. It's as of right now, unless something comes along, it's my favorite album of the year. And John, you weren't a huge fan of this band, but you took the time to listen to them. And what would you say are your impressions now, having listened to a full album with lyrics? Has your opinion changed slightly?
Yeah, I mean, I gave it quite a few listens.
Okay.
Really did. Yeah, quite a few. And yeah, I mean, my early impressions of the band were I could tell. I mean, I could tell they were good, they were great, or they were a really good band. But I don't know, it just didn't really grab me. It wasn't quite what I was looking for as far as like a new band. But
yeah.
I think it's one of those things where you just maybe you kind of get used to certain, I don't know, lyrics or certain like chord patterns or something like that, and you listen to it enough times, it kind of starts to make an impression on you. So
yeah.
But just to address your other question, yeah, The Offering was 2018.
Okay.
And so yeah, been 4 years, and I mean, Vikram's awesome. I mean, we know of his work too from Redemption.
Yeah, that's right.
Long Night's Journey in Today, and we had the chance to see him live. I mean, just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I even came into this record with some expectation when you told me he was part of it, and kind of sold me on the guest vocal spots that are a part of this. And but yeah, I pretty much came into this with a clean slate. I mean, I wouldn't say I was super familiar with the other stuff. I sort of kind of just dismissed them. But it's not the first time I've done that. I mean, right?
Yeah. Well, this is one of those bands that I really persisted because I thought.
That's true.
I mean, we both love Evergrey. There's very few bands that sound like them or that are kind of on their level, and I thought this band was, and I continued to press the issue, and then finally I got you to listen to a whole album. Does it at least make you want to go back to their earlier stuff? Maybe give it a try.
I'd say in time. I've made the mistake in the past of absorbing a band's catalog way too fast.
Yeah.
And then you don't really learn it. You kind of just, I don't know, sort of absorb it to the point where it just kind of gets old and you move on. So I think I might spend some more time with Illusions, and then maybe just work backwards. Might be
Sounds
the way
good.
to go.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of those bands that they just keep getting better. and just the addition of Vikram was just huge. I mean, he brought the band to another level. I don't know if he's going to continue to be part of the band and continue to arrange stuff for him, but I know the fans want him back, so I could see him. He's not an official member anyway, but yeah, it's definitely their. I mean, my initial thoughts are it's definitely the best album of their career. Like I said, Vikram took him to another level. There's just, I mean, he brought just so much more power and emotion to the songs, and then he knows how to just add just enough to where it doesn't, he doesn't overpower the song, but he just enhances it. He knows to kind of, if he has to harmonize with the guitars or add his own thing, his own flair. And he just brought this album to a whole new level. So I don't know if we're going to do reviews like this all the time, but I was jotting down notes for most of the songs. I was going to do a few, and there was just so many standout moments. So I thought I'd take it. It's basically track by track, and John, you could chime in on anything. So the initial,
take it away, and then just have some kind of not necessarily track by track thoughts, but just kind of some overall maybe production notes at the end. So yeah, take it away.
Sounds good. So the album opens up with Illusions, title track, and it sounds kind of like almost like a blockbuster film score. It has guest vocals by Christine Howes, who I had no idea she was. I guess she did some work on the Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 films for Disney. I guess she does kind of that background singing, or she sings kind of the melodies, or just sings melodies and then with no words. But she has a really powerful voice. It's a perfect intro, and I think it's gonna be perfect for them during live shows. It'll be a perfect way of introducing the band, and as they get on stage, it'd be just perfect. It reminded me of kind of like a Dream Theater, something off Dramatic Turns or something, an intro that Jordan Rudess would have come up with. So any thoughts on that, John?
I was gonna say that, or it's a great opening for the next James Cameron movie.
Yeah.
One of the two.
or that.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. It's great walkout music for the band as they're getting set up.
I think that was kind of the idea. I always like when bands open tours with the opening track of the album.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
So the second track, Ashes Turn to Rain, I think that was the second single. They also made a music video out of this. The music video is stunning. It's definitely something you have to check out. So it includes Illusions and Ashes Turn to Rain. So you see Christine Howes kind of singing on a hillside, which looks really, really cool, almost like a live action Disney film or something. And then you see the band, and it's just really, really cool. Super emotional song, really great chorus, and one of my favorite riffs on the album. Any thoughts on that one, John?
No, that's right. No, I just had some general production notes, but that kind of applies to all the tracks, so we'll get to that later. Okay.
All right, so the next song is My Fortress. That was definitely one of the standouts for me. It's when the album gets a little mellower. Reminded me of like a Master Plan song, which is one of Matt Marinelli's influences, I guess. Very uplifting chorus, so not as grim or as dark. This character, this kid, seems a little more hopeful of the future. Believes he could be freed from the torment. I wrote down. Insane solo. There's like 3 guitar solos on there, and they're all amazing. And some of Matt's best singing on this album. I mean, the bridge especially. He has kind of this rapid technique of singing where it's almost like it feels like free versed, or obviously it's not, but it's almost like that. Like it's just off the cuff, where he just, almost like a rap song, but it just has an emotional element to where it almost feels like he's just kind of just singing straight from his soul. He has a very, very emotional voice. Anything you want to add to that song, John?
No, I mean, I guess this is kind of the first time you get and there'll be more later, but you get a little sense of his, what's the right word? Just a little less dynamic type singing. I mean, like the intro of it, maybe a little more melodic type singing.
Yeah, a little more on the cleaner side.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, overall comment though on his voice, man, that's one of the things I like the most about this this band and this album. And I mean, to me, he sounds a lot like Jorn.
Okay. See, I didn't hear it until he listed him as an influence, and you mentioned something, and then there's moments.
I hear it a lot, and I don't hear the necessarily the Tom England connection, other than being more kind of, you know, really full voice type tenors.
Yeah.
But I mean, in a lot of ways, man, this record is just like, it's like a Jorn album with, sorry to say, much better songwriting.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
You know, just all around better riffs, and you know, but yeah, this is another cool song. It's driving, it's heavy.
Yeah. Keeps
the energy up. Yep.
Yeah. Next song, "Pray for Water." That was the first single. It's album gets a lot heavier here. Another great riff, and then the synthesizers is what I noticed right away. As soon as I heard it, Vikram's presence was felt immediately. He added such a density to the soundscape. Great chorus, and then it's probably my favorite instrumental break is where it has that breakdown. That reminded me definitely of Evergrey. He had some cool orchestral sounds and cool synthesizer sounds, and it was just, and then that riff in that breakdown is just awesome, powerful. Kind of has that orchestral background, and I love that song.
You know, it's a crazy thing too, just looking at all the words in one shot. It's not a lot of words, but
no, it's not.
They're effective.
Yeah, Evergrey does that too, where you could have like 12 words in a song, and somehow it'll give you more than a song that's super wordy. I don't know how that's just kind of how they do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes less is more, but they do write some great lyrics. There's stuff in there that's very poetic, and that's why I like them too. You clearly tell they put a lot of work into the lyrics.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next song, track 5, "Burning Tears." It's a unique song for them because, as Matt said, it's a soft song that stays soft. Most of their kind of ballady stuff starts out like a ballad. It may even have acoustic guitars, and then it just builds, and the really heavy guitars come in, and it ends with like a really huge vocal part. But in this case, it was more of reminded me of like a Catatonia ballad. And then you had the female vocalist Lindsay Ward, who I was not familiar with, but her voice works great with his.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's just by the time we got to this track, it was a welcomed little break.
You needed a little breather.
And,
and they did that quite a bit on The Offering, but they never had something this consistently soft, which I think was needed. This album's, it's heavy, it's dark, and you needed just a complete rest,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights for sure. Then we got the next track, "Believer," and this is when the album picks up the tempo. Super headbanging, chugging riff. I like when they have that real that chug sound. It reminded me of actually like something off "Hymns for the Broken," Evergrey. One of the coolest kind of synth moments. I think this was the first song that Vikram contributed to. I think they reached out to him and they wanted him to do the orchestration for this song, and then they liked it so much that they asked him to do the entire album. But a really cool sound. It also has kind of reminded me of like a ghost opera, Camelot ghost opera. And that's why I feel like that Vikram brought to the band is similar to what Oliver brought to Camelot, to where they were already a great band. They already had great songs. They just needed a true great keyboardist that could just kind of take their songs to the next level, add another element, add just an extra boost to those songs. And that's what it reminded me of. I think I wrote down, let's see. At least this is what I get from the lyrics, that the character is contemplating, kind of opening up about their experience, hoping it will dull their pain and carry them to a better tomorrow. Obviously, these lyrics can be interpreted in many ways. I'm just kind of giving my the way I see it. I kind of hope or wish that the band would kind of give you a full story, but then Matt was saying that he'd rather you kind of interpret them yourself, which I could understand that as well. It's just when it's a concept record, I want to know everything about the story. I want to really dive into it. The next song is a little more mellow as well. It opens up kind of like a ballad. This is when his voice reminds me of Russell Allen when he sings in the real clean vocal style. It reminded me of what's the song called? On Iconoclast. When all is lost. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of, and it has a really, once the guitars come in, has a really groovy riff, a little bit different than some of the other stuff, a lot more melodic and mellow. Then Matt sings with a ton of emotion. I don't know if they did this on. I swear, when I listen to this album, I hear reoccurring melodies that may have been from The Offering. It may just be the song just has a similar feel, but it reminded me of the song Scarlet Angel from the last album. I mean, it would help if you really dove into the previous record, but and then I believe her name's Sarah D. She sang on The Offering, and she sings quite a bit on this record, and she sings on a lot of the choruses. This one you could really hear her voice. I feel like she's that angelic figure that's kind of guiding these kids through the suffering, even if that's not the intention, that it has that feel. Her singing, because Matt conveys so much anguish in his voice, and she's really needed to give kind of that light and that hope to the story and that feel on the record.
Sure.
All right, next track, "Bury Me Alive." I'd say with the exception of maybe the kind of the epic final track, I'd say this is probably my favorite on the album. Lyrically, it's just super impressive, and music-wise, it's really strong. It kind of starts out with like a mellow keyboard intro, and then it goes into that huge kind of chugging, galloping riff. We got those kind of harmonizing synthesizer throughout the song that just kind of drives the song, really up tempo. I'd say it's probably my favorite chorus on the album. It really just showcases Matt's vocal prowess. He really is a world-class metal singer, and there's few that are on his level. Just wanted to read the lyrics. It says, "I'm born with the sickness, commanded to be well. I hear the voice say, it's not over. I feel my mind is failing. I feel I'm breaking down. So bury me underneath the burning grounds." I love lyrics that you could comb through like great poetry, and I honestly hate poetry, but when it's accompanied by great music, it's really moving. And I mean, I'm not certain, but the song seems to be about maybe survivor's guilt, perhaps, is kind of the overall message. That's perspective from one of the kids. The song, has really intricate vocal acrobatics. Matt's just phrasing and all the emotion he conveys in the song is just incredible. So yeah, that one of the strongest on the album for sure. All right, so I'm skipping over a couple tracks here, even though they're they're worth mentioning. To the final epic kind of magnum opus on the album. Um, Similar to the Ghosts of Innocence off The Offering, I think this is a song that kind of goes to the next level. I think it's probably the most perfectly crafted song of their career. I think Sean said there was a big Nightwish influence here, and I'm not a huge Nightwish person, so I couldn't reference a song, but I definitely hear it kind of on the 7 minute mark is where I could notice that Nightwish sound for sure. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of takes what the Ghost of Innocence did, and it just kind of brings it to a grander level. The intro kind of reminds me of something off Dramatic Turn of Events from Dream Theater, kind of like the Bridges in the Sky intro, if I'm remembering the correct song. Super catchy keyboards to start, and then kind of I love the blast pedal drumming from Sean. He's truly a powerhouse drummer, and I think this is possibly Matt's most impressive vocal performance. I feel like he just really reached another level on this song. And then lyrically, it's just so strong again. To read some of the lyrics, I love the line, "How long will I remember the screams that remain in my head? You saved me from the silence. I will raise you from the dead." It's just, I mean, it's just money, and it just puts such an image in your head, especially if you're a big fan of The Offering and you went through that emotional roller coaster. It just kind of brings back images from that album and kind of what the kids experienced and what they had to overcome, the ones who survived. And then the chorus will just give you goosebumps. I mean, there's moments during like the bridge or a verse that Matt just kills it, and then goes into a huge chorus. And I love the lyrics on the chorus. "You save me from the silence, wake me from the nightmare I'm in, raise me from the dead, these phantom voices screaming in my head." It's so good. And I love Sarah D's performance. I don't know if she's the only female singer on this track, but unbelievable performance. I mean, she just has a remarkable voice. I don't know if it's also Christine Halls from the first song. It sounds like just a similar vocal style anyway, and it sounds like it could be a kind of a carryover. It almost like feels like it's a continuation of Illusions, but if it's all Sarah singing, I mean, just remarkable what she can do with her voice. And then I love when she kind of echoes Matt's lines. It just sounds killer. It sounds like she's kind of another character in the story. I see her as kind of like that guardian angel, and it brings enough light into a very kind of a dark album, and just a emotionally heavy album that kind of weighs on you, and you kind of need that source of light. And she just does an incredible job. And then I feel like the message of the song is ultimately that, you know, the character is kind of letting go of the pain and attempting to live a normal life. I think the line is, you know, cutting the rope and leaving it all behind. And I really love that. It's a great line, and it brings a nice close to the album. Not exactly a happy ending, but not a depressing one either. It's somewhat hopeful and optimistic. And, you know, the idea of turning the page and getting beyond the tragedy, I just thought it was a perfect close to the record. And I can't say enough good things about the song. I mean, musically it's so impressive. There's so many great ebbs and flows, and the song really takes you on a journey. And like all great long songs, it doesn't feel long. It feels short, and, you know, you're like, oh wow, 11 minutes already. It just flies by. And there's so much I could break down, you know, spend an hour just breaking down that song, but it's just awesome. Anything you want to add to this one, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite track on the record by far. And there's what's awesome is there's kind of what I hear is there's some sort of hints of like there's kind of like these melodic hints that sort of resolve themselves later, like they almost kind of like tease you like they're about to get there.
Yeah.
And then there's this refrain that I think they do 3 times, and man, that's the part that's the most infectious on the entire record for me.
Okay.
It's that line, no matter how far we've come, your eyes are blind to me. They do that, I think, like 3 times, but
Yeah.
to me, that's just gold. That's like, they had to be that magic moment in the studio. They were like, yeah,
That's the
let's
line.
do that a couple more times.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it's just great balance of dynamics, cool riffs. Yeah, and I think, and I'll just close my portion here with just that this sort of leads into my final thoughts on the overall record here.
Okay.
Is that I feel like this song best, and I know it's 11 minutes, but it does best encapsulate what I think they can do best and what they do well, which is some of these songs I feel like could do with a little more dynamic, in that there's just a lot almost at all times.
Okay.
And we talked about this already, but there's just from maybe a production standpoint or from an arrangement standpoint, it can be taxing on the senses after a while, because it just feels like a lot's happening.
Yeah.
And that's like at all times, and so there's just like guitars are going full blast, the bass is going full blast, drums are going full blast, and then Vikram's doing his thing.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of tracks of keyboards and synths, and it's just filling out the sonic space to almost its breaking point at all times. And it's just like, whoa, hold on. And that's what I love about the Phantom Silence, is there's some moments where it just sort of allows itself to break down a little bit, and then to build, and then to crescendo, and then to kind of fall away. So
yeah, it has those ebbs and flows for sure.
Yeah, and that's, I think why I said earlier that Burning Tears was just such a perfect moment to just be like, okay, all right, we're it's about halfway through, and carry it on from there. So
yeah,
and there's just a few little production things that I don't really know how to articulate, but they just kind of bug me in modern metal of the last couple years, where it almost seems like there's just moments where, like, it's like it's cymbal crash with the chords ringing and everyone's hitting it at the same exact time, and to me it's almost like, depending on what sound system you're listening to, it's almost like an explosion, and it's just like constant, just like boom. And so I don't love that. And what I will say though is, well, not that my car should be the measure of whether an album sounds good or not. It's interesting to me that there's a lot of records that I think sound just fine.
Yeah.
While I'm driving around, this one does not.
Okay.
What I will say is I put it on with headphones. It sounded great.
Yeah.
So I haven't checked it out on the big stereo yet or anything like that, or in different formats besides streaming it. So I'm sure that makes a difference. But that I found interesting is, and bands nowadays, they have a lot to consider, because, so many people are just going to stream it off their phone.
Yeah.
If they have it on CD, it's not going to be in their car, probably, if it's a, newer vehicle, or they bought it on vinyl.
That's true. Yeah.
All these different things to consider when you're the mixing engineer and you're mastering this thing. I can't even imagine. So, overall, sounds great. I was listening to it with headphones. His voice cut through a lot better. That's one of the things I was struggling to really pick out, in the car.
All right, so just some closing thoughts on the record. I mean, I just have to say that it's just masterfully crafted. I mean, I had super high expectations, because I love the offering. I mean, it came out 4 years ago, and I still listen to it. It's just so good. And I was so blown away by that album. And I love concept records, and it was just one of the best you'll hear in the genre. And Illusions just does not disappoint at all. It's even it surpassed my expectations. I think it's beyond the offering. I think the addition of Vikram just made a substantial difference. I think production-wise, it's the best produced album of their career. I think just tonally, it sounds so good. I think they just nailed it all around. Matt, his vocal performance on the record is insane. I can't say enough good things about him. I think he's one of the best singers in the world, up there with the best, like Russell Allen or Jorn Land. And he just just blows it away. And I love the guest work from Christine Howells and Sarah. Once again, she's just incredible. And I just can't say enough good things about this band. I think they deserve more recognition, and I hope they get it. I was glad that they produced a really, really high quality music video. I think that will help them. It just makes the song even more enjoyable. And I mean, to add on, this album is it's not just a great metal record. It's a deep record. It's thought provoking. I mean, you get the sense that you're taking in a carefully crafted piece of art that will kind of stick with you. You'll want to listen to it over and over again, and every time you listen, you'll notice something else that you like. It's an emotional roller coaster. It's the concept is just riveting. It's an original story by Matt, and yeah, just love this album. It's definitely one you want to buy. You can buy it on vinyl. Great artwork, and I wish the band the best. I hope this is a big success for them, and I'm looking forward to a tour because it's definitely a record that they're going to want to tour. Right. Anything else, John, before we say goodbye?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for taking the time. We'll see you again on Brothers of Metal. Take care.
Yeah.